Good morning, Tony Datino. Doing my live with Tony early today because I've got a busy morning and afternoon. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget doing this. I am the founder of the USA Memory Championship and wanted to just talk about an article that I read in the Sunday newspaper. And it talked about sleep on it. You sleep on it. And what are the common myths that may be coming between you and getting rest? If you're having trouble focusing on work and you're dragging yourself by midday, the solution may not be grabbing another cup of coffee. A productive day starts the night before you get quality sleep. You've got to get a good night's rest. And you say, well, what's a good night's rest? It seems like it's simple, right? You just go to bed, close your eyes, but it doesn't quite work that way. And so I found this article very interesting as it talked about the common myths that we have. So the first one is that you need to get 8 hours of sleep. Most people, the idea of sleep falls between 7 and 9 hours. And what we're learning is depending upon your age and your health. It's a range of 7-9 is pretty good. Some people can go with 7, some can go with 9. Again, if you're younger, kids need more. But this notion of 8 hours of sleep, once we get to adulthood, the amount of sleep we need remains relatively stable with a slight decrease as you get a little bit older. So you are somewhere in that 7 to 9, but the 8 is not fixed and mandatory. Next myth, relaxing in bed will encourage you to sleep. More time in bed does not always mean getting more sleep. If you head off before you feel sleepy and you lie awake for a long period of time watching TV or scrolling on the phone or trying to read, not a good thing for you. What you're trying to do is getting your brain to accept the fact that sleep in your bed and your bed is for sleep go together. And so laying in bed reading for an hour is not a good thing. Lying in bed tossing and turning, not a good thing. I've not read a number of studies that basically said after 10 minutes, if you're not going to sleep, it's just get out of bed and go do something else. Walk around the residence somewhere, but do not lay in bed because you then begin to associate laying in bed with not being able to get to sleep. So the notion that relaxing in bed will encourage you to sleep is not a good one. Spending too much time awake in bed weakens the association your body has between bed and sleep, which is what I've said. So says the researcher that's doing this. Now let me just see where he's from. The Refreshed Psychotherapy. He's from the Caitlin Massey psychologist on refreshing your body for sleep. Next, you can catch up on sleep over the weekend. If you haven't slept well during the week while sleeping in after a week of poor sleep might feel good, it does not completely reverse the effects of lost sleep, says a clinical owner of a sleep solutions group. Chronic sleep deprivation cannot fully be made up with an occasional long night of rest. The truth is, consistent quality sleep throughout the week is far better than for your health. Not getting enough of sleep creates a deficit or a debt, which you partially recover, but you never replenish it completely, and therefore, as you go through that cycle, you kind of lose ground, and you just become more lethargic. And your body is telling you that, and the thing that's worse is if you're working in mechanical kinds of things where you can hurt yourself because you're not fully focused. So I've read a number of studies. Driving an automobile, my goodness, when you start to doze off and you're not, like your head starts to go and you start to doze off and you wake up and I've had that happen. I almost drove off a road once and that was the end of me trying to drive when I'm sleepy. A consistent bedtime will improve my sleep. These are all myths. So far we've covered I need 8 hours. Number 2 is I'm going to relax in bed. Nope, you're going to go to sleep in bed. I can catch up on sleep over the weekend. And now we're going to talk about a consistent bedtime will improve my sleep. Many people focus on having a consistent bedtime, but what do you think is more important? A consistent awake time. I found that very interesting. Inconsistent wake times cause disruptions to your circadian rhythms, which we all know is the body's biological clock. So trying to get to bed at a consistent time and changing your wake times is not the way to go. What this is suggesting, which I found really interesting, I've not seen this before, is that a consistent wake time is more important than a consistent go to sleep time because of, we all know, we heard the term a circadian rhythm. And so this is talking about the circadian rhythms can get messed up when you're talking about changing your sleep awake time, not when you go to bed, though I guess if you can put the two together, that probably makes some sense. Another myth, my body is used to a lack of sleep. I've heard that from a number of people, and that doesn't quite work. It suggests that if you sleep less, your body will adjust to the lack of sleep and you'll function normally. Research has shown that short-term and long-term sleep deprivation has negative effects on your body. While you might feel okay for a while when pushing yourself to less sleep, it will eventually catch up with you. People believe you can train your body to the lack of sleep, and it doesn't quite work that way. They try to get less sleep. The body doesn't adjust to needing less sleep without negative consequences. Chronic sleep deprivation reduces cognitive function. We've talked about that on the 6 key factors that impact cognitive fitness. And that's in our online course on the USA Memory Championship. And this basically says chronic sleep deprivation reduces your function, mood, and your overall health. Next, a nightcap will help me sleep. How about a glass of wine in the evening to help you relax? It'll help you to wind down. But it's a crutch for falling asleep. It's almost like a drug. Drinking alcohol behind bedtime may make you feel drowsy. The full effect it can have on your sleep is surprising. It reduces your ability to get REM sleep, which is the most important deep sleep that you've got, that gives you the most rest and cleans out your toxins, disrupts your sleep schedule, and worsens your snoring or apnea. Alcohol is a depressant, and so it can help you fall asleep, but is more likely to cause poor sleep quality and frequent sleep disruptions. So having a glass of wine before bed is not the best thing, or certainly not a cup of coffee, we know that. And last, if you get enough sleep, you will feel great when you wake up. If you wake up and don't feel refreshed, it's natural to assume you didn't get enough sleep. But the professor says that it's perfectly normal to feel sleepy or groggy for the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. Oh my goodness, the first 30 to 60 minutes. Don't you want to wake up and let's get going? No. Some people, it's 30 to 60 minutes and you get groggy. It's called sleep inertia and resolves with physical movement and light exposure. So getting up and taking a little walk maybe, getting out into the sun. How many of us, if you get up in the morning and it's cloudy or it's a rainy day, we just want to just lay there and actually find ourselves sleeping a little bit more, even though we don't want to realize that we maybe have gotten a good night's sleep, but who wants to get up in the rain, the cold? If you're in the Northeast, who wants to get up in the snow, icy weathers and deal with, oh God, I'm going to get out of bed and it's cold and I got to get dressed and showered and ready to go, or showered and dressed, not dressed and showered, and get going. So let me just review these one more time. We'll go backwards this time. If you get enough of sleep, you'll wake up feeling great. Not for maybe, some of us, 30 minutes. Some people have to get that cup of coffee. Getting a nightcap and that glass of wine is not going to help you get to sleep and have a good night's rest. My body is going to get used to the lack of sleep. I can train it not to do it, and that is just not going to work. A consistent bedtime will improve my sleep. No, you want to get up at the same time, not go to sleep. And you can do both, but you want to make sure you're getting up at the same time. You can catch up on your sleep over the weekend. You'll build up a sleep deprivation. And relaxing in bed will encourage you to get to sleep. And be careful. A lot of people like to read, but then you're reading something and it's exciting and you want to get to the next part of the story and you're trying to get to sleep, bounces you around. And then you need 8 hours of sleep. And these are the myths of sleeping on it. So with that, I hope this gives you some tips. I know I've done a number of Live with Tonys talking about sleep and recognizing the importance of it, but here are some tips of things that we may be doing that are not really helping us. And we are off to another week. We're into the first week of February. So have a good week, and I'll see you back here on Wednesday.